Hello everybody and welcome to this walkthrough of the text guides with me and RJTV. Hey buddy!
Hey, what's going on, man?
It's nice to have you here. I don't know, did we do this for the last tournament? We did, right? Or am I just... I don't
Of
remember.
course,
Yeah, I
of
don't remember.
course. They all blend together, huh?
I'm still on vacation, honestly. Like I'm
You
gonna.
deserve it.
So glad to have you all watching this video as well. Thank you for being here. We are going to go over the text guide for the Clifftop Links tournament, rookie, pro, and expert, and also master. RJ is going to cover rookie division. I'm going to take pro, expert, and master, and we're of course going to chime in on each other if there is something that any one of us would miss. And before we start, make sure that you check down in the video description for the link to the text guides. Then you can take it up on your computer, phone, tablet. You can also download them to your device or even print them out if you want to. Also, have in mind, when it comes to these texts, those are general. Not RJ, not me, no one else except for the game makers know what win we're going to have in the tournament. So it's impossible for us to tell you exact in detail what the adjustment is going to be. But we're going to try to be as detailed as possible and base it on if we get crosswind, if we get headwind, if we get tailwind, and what we're going to do. But if you do want to get detailed instructions based on the tournament win during the tournament, sign up for the updated text guides by going through Patreon, link in the video description down below as well. Oh my god, so much talk here in the beginning. So I'm just going to throw over the ball to you, my friend, and we're gonna throw ourselves over hole number 1, par 4.
All right, hole number 1 is going to have a 20% downhill elevation adjustment, meaning you're going to need to add 20% to whatever you would normally adjust. A marlin with your extra mile would be a great ball to have here. I like to lay up a little bit. I come in a little bit below the black square there on the right side of the sand towards the bottom of it, and I use full left curl and full left spin to avoid the rough on the right hand side and just let the ball roll up there. Now I'm assuming you have less than an extra mile 7. If you do have an extra mile 7, use half of what curl you have, or an extra mile 8. But for those lower extra mile users, also a marlin ball, if I didn't say that already, is fine, again, to avoid the rough. That would be the first shot. The second shot is also elevation is needed, especially if you're going to dial this one in. It's 10%. Now be super careful because the green is shaped like a dome top. So bring a wood and a long iron, depending on how far up the fairway you get, with the best ball guide, and also with at least 3 backspin, as it's a tough putting surface to stay on top of right next to the hole. What do you got for the pros through masters, Tommy?
I thought the thing that you said there in the end with the green was perfect, and something that I'm going to build on here as well for pro and expert. There is a line here that is not displayed on the text guide, which I didn't add. It's because it's so wind dependent. It's a line that, picture yourself that you're going to bounce at the black mark, the first black mark, but the second marker would be over to the right side of the bunker instead of the left. And that way is going to be possible to get if we do have some sort of tailwind. That is by using as much side spin to the right possible, combined with 5 to 7 bars of top spin. Don't use more than 7, then you can roll into the rough on the other side. And then, of course, use the 20% downhill elevation that RJ talked about in the beginning. The thing that is going to happen there is that you're going to leave yourself up with having a short iron in minimum distance towards the pin, or a wedge shot directly to the pin in maximum distance. Both of those shots is going to be played uphill 20%. Which is strange because RJ said before that we're playing it downhill 10% from the black mark. The reason being is, like, when we are closer to the green, we're going to aim directly at the green, which means that we're aiming to a higher point than we would be if we would be further away from the green. So that is super important, and that's why the elevation adjustment is going to change from 10% downhill to 20% uphill, so minus 20%. If we do get headwind, we're going to play it according to the black line. Just get it down there, take our adjustment towards the pin. A ball with side spin 3 would be preferred, as we, you know, if we're not having a club with at least 15 curl, side spin 3 would be very good to get together with that club, like an extra mile or a Thor's hammer. But it would almost be better for you to play with a lower level apocalypse, like a level 1, level 2, level 3, to just have that curl to get over there to the right side. I've dropped this shot many times by going over there to the right side, and few times going to the left side. So if there just is a wind that we can work with, then I'm going to play the right side, and I'm going to dial that shot in so we can secure that for an eagle. Hole number 2, par 3. I would say of the White Cliffs hole, this is the absolute toughest par 3 that we do have of the White Cliffs. But I'm very interested to hear, how do we play it from front tee?
Well, one of the reasons I think it's so tough is because it is a 30% adjustment. And cue the sad music. Speaking of adjustments, I need to make... I need to tell you guys something. I need to get something off my chest. So many people have come to me and said, RJ, you're so good at Golf Clash. How do you figure out these elevations and everything else? I steal it from you, Tommy. I get all my elevation numbers from you, man. But yes, 30%. That is one thing I got to say. I copy. I don't know. He's a freaking master at this stuff. But I do have the Viper and Quasar in, and I like to land before the first bunker where you see that first black box with about one backspin. Again, as Tommy said in the disclaimer at the beginning of the video, everything is wind dependent, but for 3 out of the 4 winds we get, it's probably going to be one backspin, full right spin, maybe a little right curl if necessary to get very close. If you get the hole in one, slap yourself on the back. You deserve it.
Yeah, and second tee, we are going to play with a wood club, a sniper preferred. They're going to play it before the bunker there as well. And that's, once again, it's going to be so wind dependent if we're going to have, you know, no backspin, or we're going to play with 1 bar of topspin, or if we're going to play with, you know, 2 bars of backspin. So we're going to leave that, but we're going to have as much side spin to the right possible every single time. Because even though the fairway is sloping to the right, we need that side spin to help ourselves to get the second bounce to bounce into the right and go towards the pin. Very hard to get a consistency on this one due to the very bumpy fairway. And then we do have a green. And the green here, which is with all the White Cliffs hole, which I think the game makers have made very well. If you just go a little bit too long, or let's say like this, you come in a little bit too hot, then the ball is going to roll much further on the green than you most likely expect. And then you're going to have, in the worst case scenario, a putt that you will have to overpower. And we all know how tough an overpowered putt can be. So if we do want to miss somewhere, we actually rather want to go short. And but we also want to go towards the pin. So here it's very important that you play this one with caution, and that you try to really use a little bit amount of backspin, a little bit amount of topspin, depending on the wind. Maybe watch a video to get the adjustment, so you're not going to see yourself miss this one and getting a par. That would be sad. When it comes to master, we're going to play with a driver, a quarterback, or the rock or the rocket would be preferred. Sure, for those of you having Apocalypse level 6 or 7, that could be good as well. But the thing that I'm going for is the backspin combined with ball guideline, which is making quarterback an excellent club. And that is going to be the best way for us to get that ball in the hole. I remember from the last time we played this hole, we played it just on the very thin fairway next to the beginning part of the bunker, like in between the rough line and the bunker. That's basically just 2 rings of margin to play on there. But that was the way for us to get the ball in the hole. that time. But once again, it's so wind dependent, as if we would be having tailwind, that wouldn't be possible. If we have headwind, that wouldn't be possible. So once again, we're going to see what type of wind we're going to have. But here, I would actually suggest you to play with, you know, a wind 5 ball if you have some. And that goes also from second tee, as that could be the difference from having a tough time to actually having a chance for an hole-in-one. Otherwise, I would be at least playing with a wind-resistant 3 ball, which would be a kingmaker in my book. So, and as I already say, 30% downhill, and you know, that's it's a terrible tough hole. Yes.
So you're saying in Masters with the right wind, you're going to the right of the lower bunker, in between the bunker and the rough?
No, left, sorry. So
oh, okay, where you said you only had 2 rings?
Yeah, so it's the beginning part of the bunker, in between that part and the rough line to the left.
I get a lot of people on my stream asking me when I'm going to Masters.
Yeah,
that's why I'm not there.
It's in the end, if we just know the adjustment, what we're going to adjust for, then it's all about hitting a perfect shot. But it's a tough one, knowing that if you hit a great shot, it's going to be tough one. So we're going to just add that to the master section. We're going to play. We can play 3 ways. Crosswind, we play it there by the bunker. Tailwind, we play it before the bunker. Headwind, we play it after the bunker. So it's all wind dependent, but no matter what, super tough one to get in the hole. Hole number 3. Now we go over to the Namhay Cliffs. And this one, I know...
Bless you.
Yeah, thank you. And yeah, and I know, and I heard you say before, RJ, that this is your absolute favorite par 5 in the whole game. So it's going to be interesting to hear how you play hole number 3.
It's pretty to look at, I'll give it that. It's a fun hole to play, but in terms of actually being able to get the eagle, it's definitely a very, very hard hole for that. This one is 20% downhill on your original drive. I don't see any advantage whatsoever in taking the left side fairway. I like taking the right side of the fairway with an extra mile and a power 3 ball, just in case we get a favorable wind for the jump. That would be super important. I do have, let's see, the full left spin. So, okay, when you aim at the hole, when you aim to that other fairway, your ball guide may look like it's going into the rough or by the sand right there on the right side, in between the 2 black boxes. So you're going to want to put full left spin to counteract that, so your ball guide looks like it's going right up the fairway. In doing that, you don't want to get too close to the edge, because it slopes down at the most extreme part by the rough up top, and I've gone into the drink a couple times up there as well. So be very careful. I would say 4 to full topspin. Now keep in mind, I am referring to extra miles lower than level 7, and when I say 4 to full, the only time you would use full, in my opinion, would be if we had a straight headwind, and meaning that you're gonna bounce a little bit closer, you know, a little further in towards the tee than where the first black box is. For your second shot, I also like the Viper, and we can lay up to the end of the fairway, right where you see that white box, the only white box on the screen there. For rookies, I think this is the best shot. However, I know Tommy, and I know he's going to explain a big dog shot. This big dog shot, he may not use a big dog, but for rookies, what he would say would be big dog. There is a way to get over with favorable wind, but I'm not even going to recommend it on my portion of what I'm saying here, simply because it is risky for rookie. If you can make this shot, you might want to step up to pro, but that's up to you. A thorn will get you over that last cliff onto the green, and really you could land wherever you want. You got plenty of room. You're not going to fall off the cliff unless you do something really silly. I'm not recommending a dunk, but I am saying, you know, if you want, you could try to roll it in, or you could do the full back spin, you know, and try to get in on the second bounce, however you prefer. But that's what I got for hole number 3.
Yes, and I'm going to continue on the more aggressive route. Like, this is a hole that has been in the game for a long time. It's a very tough hole where the drive is everything. If you do go short with your drive, you're going to have to lay up. It doesn't really matter what the win for the second shot is going to be. You just have to lay up, and then just have to take it for you had a crappy drive. Because the thing that we risk all the time trying to go over is to go into the water, and that's going to be something that we're going to punish ourselves for in the end, or going to be mad at ourselves for that we took an unnecessary risk. I'm not against taking risks, but we're going to take a risk in the right situation. So if we do make our drive and we get over the final little like uphill or little hump that we do have in the end, then I know that we do have enough distance to reach over to the other side of the water. But in the end, we do need crosswind, or we do need some sort of tailwind to be able to get there. The way that I like to approach the green is to use the rough that we do have on the left side of the green to bounce in the rough and let the fairway on the right side of the rough roll the ball down onto the green, and then we have a putt for an eagle. This is by any means no albatross hole. We are not going to go for an albatross. I think I've seen 1 or 2 albatrosses where the player got just, I would say it's 99.9% luck, hitting the rocks, bouncing directly in for an albatross dunk from distance, which would otherwise go out of bounds if he would have missed the hole. So it's going to be an eagle hole to secure the eagle, but please make sure that when you stretch out your club and you try to see how far your club will reach, even in max overpower, that if you cannot reach over the water in any form, and then you should not try to get over, then you will have to lay up, even though you might want to go for it. So it's the other thing as well for the second shot, it's that it's uphill, so the wind is going to be less affecting the ball, which means that even if you have a tailwind, the tailwind is going to less affect the ball going over. So even with a low tailwind and you cannot reach over by stretching it out, you should not try to go for it. It's still going to be tough, because there is one little risk as well, because if you cannot really aim for the second bounce on the other side, and you then make an overpower shot, you maybe go max overpower, which could be happening sometimes, and then you bounce on the green or the fairway directly, then you're gonna bounce over the green and go out of bounds. So there is a lot of risks taken here, but if we do have the wind and we make the drive I would say is the absolute crucial thing, then we can make an eagle on this hole. So study the drive, make sure that you get enough distance, and then you should be getting an eagle. For pro and expert and master, you could play with a power 4 ball here without feeling that you're spending anything in a bad way. Otherwise, a power 3 ball is an absolute must, in my opinion, to be able to get over there.
I am so sorry about that.
No, no worries.
I have no control. She wears the pants. On track though, I did want to ask you a question for the rookies.
Yes.
Okay, so let's say that there are some rookies that want to be aggressive and they want to bring either a Titan or a Kingmaker with a tailwind for their second shot. What level big dog would you say they must have to take that aggressive shot?
Level 1.
If level 1 will make it?
Yeah, because we're aiming for the rough, so you're not really in the need of any backspin or any topspin, and the side spin you have on your ball. But of course, the accuracy with a big dog, and you will have to, the accuracy is absolutely terrible. So you're going to have to overpower your second shot in basically every time. It's going to be an absolute perfect drive to get there close to the very top, to have to stay away from having to overpower your drive, but that's very rare that we get there. So yeah.
I'm actually really happy that that was your explanation because I purposely left that out because I thought it was too hard. And it sounds like you're basically saying with the zero accuracy and everything, you've just got to hit perfect with an overpower shot, which is not easy to do
No,
with consistency.
no, definitely not. It's going to be from whatever tee. It's going to be super hard, but it can also be like if we do find a way, and here it comes to the guides as well. If you watch a good guide, the guide speaks to you, and I'm going to of course break every one of these courses down so you know what to do. And if you feel comfortable with that, you're going to see a lot of players struggling going into the water, missing maybe a shot because they have the wrong elevation. So on the par fives, to just play it conservative, make sure that you do the shots correctly without taking any unnecessary risk, will instead be that you gain a shot on your opponent, instead of feeling that, oh, I'm just making an eagle, now everyone else is going to do the same. For sure not. It's going to be a super tough hole for each and every one.
And that's for everyone in your bracket. So if you got 100 people in your bracket, there's a good chance 25 of them went into the water on this shot. So definitely, I 100% agree with you.
And that gives us going from a very tough hole. We're going to have to, we're going to get to relax a little bit for hole number 4, which is going to be a little fun one, good hole-in-one opportunity in my opinion. So how do we play hole number 4?
Well, actually, you told me when we were talking beforehand, you had me correct the club. This is so easy. Thank you very much, Playdemic, for giving us a heart attack on hole 3 and then letting us recover on hole 4. For us rookies, we're actually going to be using a short iron. Yes, you heard me right. That is not a typo. I had a typo. I had long iron, but it's a short iron. Now, the one thing that might throw you off a little bit is it's 15%. But when we're talking about, rookie type wins, 10%, 15%, potato. But anyway, bring your most accurate short iron and land before the sand, right where you see his black boxes there. No spin is the preferred way to play this ball. But if you absolutely have 100% headwind or tailwind, either in your face or at the back of your head, you're only going to adjust half a bar to compensate. And then also what you're going to want to do is go to the right side of the pin when you make this shot, because there's a bit of a slope there, and you do not want to go past the hole, because this is another one of those holes where the ball's just going to keep rolling. That's what I got for hole number 4.
Yeah, and I have basically exactly the same, except for we're going to change clubs. We're going to play with our change club. We're going to play with a long iron from the second tee, Goliath, Backbone, Saturn, whatever, B52, whatever you feel comfortable with going with. I would suggest a ball with more wind resistance, like a wind resistance 2 minimum, like a Navigator or a Kingmaker or a Titan, Katana. You have a bunch of them with wind resistance 2 and so forth. And of course, for those of you having wind 5 balls, you can use them as well, obviously. We aim slightly to the right of the pin. There is a hump there on the green on the right side, which will get your ball to go up and roll down to the left. So therefore we're going to deliberately aim a little bit to the right of the pin. Make sure that when you're aiming here, is that once applying the spin, is that you're going to go with the second bounce to be on the fringe. So when you have the spin, let's say like this, I'm playing with 4.5 bar backspin in tailwind. I'm adding the spin, putting my target, so the second bounce showing on the ball guideline on the fringe. Then I'm having in headwind, I'm playing with 3 bars of backspin. I'm going to do the same type of thing, second bounce on the fringe. The reason I'm using that as a reference is that we then are getting the correct type of bounce and not coming in hot, or we're not coming in short, and we're giving ourselves a very good chance for an hole-in-one. 30, it depends on what ball we're having. Power 3 ball, we're playing with a long iron if we do have tailwind. If we do have a headwind and we play power 3 ball, most likely going to be in between clubs. So I would say tailwind, we play with a power 3 ball, we play with a long iron, or in headwind, we play with a more wind resistant ball, like a wind 5 ball, and then we play with a wood club. So the wind is going to decide there. It's going to be a tricky hole from the 30, I must say, but definitely a hole where we're going to see a bunch of hole-in-ones, I would say. We go over to hole number 5. We are more than halfway now, and we come to the second par 5 in this tournament. One of the white cliffs. So how do we play hole number 5?
I think you would agree with me that this is probably the easiest par 5 that we are going to face in the tournament.
Yep.
Does that mean albatrosses are going to be aplenty? Not exactly. Although it's definitely it's definitely one you need to dial in and expect for an albatross. And if you're going to get a top position, your second shot should be rolling within 1 or 2 squares of the pin, if not going in. I have a 10% adjustment on our first shot with the extra mile. Instead of landing where that first black box is, which I think is for Masters, I believe that the rookies should be able to reach up to that longer little island of fairway there, and you just want to roll. You want to bounce towards the bottom. You want to roll up towards the top of that right long island. 1 top spin should be plenty. Full left spin, once again, just to straighten out your ball guide so it shows you staying on the fairway and not going into the rough. Now, your second shot, I would say, is probably going to be best with a Viper at right around max distance with 0 to 2 top spins. So for those few people out there who have snipers, that's another option. Just be very careful, because lower snipers don't have great distance and they don't have great top spin. And to make up for the lack of distance, you would have to put some top spin on it. All this is wind dependent. Put some left spin on to aim at the hole, once again, just to get you a little bit further away from the rough on your landing position. And dial yourself into hopefully at least 1 albatross on the weekend. I mean, not at least, but this is the hole to go for it on.
Yeah, and here you can see the lines are, you know, the boxes on the lines are slightly wrong here, I noticed. And we're going to start Pro and Expert in crosswind, tailwind, going to go directly over to the second, like, little bigger and longer fairway island, where we do have the second black box. We're gonna be going over there directly, and we're going to be going there with a sniper towards the pin, and we're going to have a good chance for an albatross, in my opinion. The sniper is going to reach. I remember I was actually a bit against that in the first time we actually had this hole in a tournament, because I hadn't played it that much I hadn't played it at all from the second tee. It was only from the third tee, and I wasn't sure if we're gonna reach, but we can. But we can reach with a power 2 or a power 3 ball, so we do need a little bit of distance for that shot. If we do have a headwind, I would prefer going more towards the white line. And now I missed adding 1 box, because there should be a box just after the bunker. You know, you bounce on the first white box, then over to the fairway on the other side, and then from there you either bounce on the little island there over towards the green, or you're bouncing just before the bunker by the green towards the pin. That's a shot that I play a lot from the third tee when I do have a hard wind, or I would say from 30 I play that one with basically every wind, because I feel playing on the right side in headwind from the second tee, having to go with a lot of curl, bouncing on the island there, is going to be tough. And if you go into the rough, you cannot reach to the pin. If you go into the water, you can definitely not reach for the pin in 2. From the third tee, I'm going to be more towards the left side here, the white line. If it's not being a wind, that is very easy to dial in a curl shot to get over on the longer fairway island. So we can say going on the right side is going to give us a better opportunity for the albatross, but the drive is going to be much tougher. If we play on the left side, the drive is going to be much easier, but approach shot is going to be much tougher. And not much tougher in the way that you will risk the eagle, but much tougher in the way to get the albatross. I would say power 3 balls in general, if you have some power 2 balls as minimum. Master T, I would say power 3 ball, absolutely minimum. And there could even be some power 4 balls here to be used, honestly. Yeah, 10% downhill for the first shot. Then I'm not adding anything for the second shot. I'm just going to play it as it is. So, hole 6. Here we come to a par 4 that is going to be interesting. I think we can dial this one in. What do you think?
I think so as well. I heard you had some really good luck dialing this one in. As for me, I just want to let all the rookies know. You see that white line? That white line is evil. Stay away from it. It'll kill your game. We want to go with the black line as rookies. The drive is 10%. It could be important, but at the same point in time, if we do take the right side, it's a much more forgiving fairway than most. A Marlin should be fine, but if you want to seriously dial in that second shot, you might want to go with something that has a little bit more wind resistance. Completely up to you. With the extra mile and the Marlin, and once again, I just keep saying, I'm sorry, I'm being distracted. I'm so sorry about all the noise and everything coming from my house.
No worries.
But anyway, yeah, full topspin, assuming an extra mile 6 or lower. If you have an extra mile 7, you might have to take a little bit off. Full left spin, just to ensure that you don't go into the rough over there, and make sure with the full left spin you have enough room to not obviously hit the rough on the right as well. Aim right down the middle of the right fairway. Your second shot, you could bring a thorn, you could bring a hornet. Probably a hornet would be a better shot, because on the picture it doesn't look like there's very much room, but it's a little bit deceiving. You can dial it in with about 0 to 1/2 backspin on your second shot. Just keep your drive consistent. And, well, I'll let Tommy explain that, because this is Tommy's words coming right up.
Yes, and yes, I do prefer the black line, and the black line is perfectly explained from RJ. We're going to get it down there at adjusting for a 10% downhill elevation, max side spin to the left, going with around 3 to 4 bars of topspin as normal. Of course, a little bit more in headwind, a little bit less in tailwind, but with a crosswind, 3 to 4 bars of topspin. And then we're going to, if you can see the second black mark, which I hope you can, otherwise it's going to be tough, but there is a shadow there from the trees in this that comes from the trees. From that spot, you're going to get to around 335 yard mark. From that mark, you're going to play your shot medium distance with no spin or just a smidge of backspin added. Aim for the pin, and you aim for medium distance with no extra elevation or not taking anything away either. That shot has dropped for me so many times that it's just ridiculous amount of times. So I really enjoy laying up and go from distance. However, if we do have a tailwind, I understand that there will be a possibility with a power 5 ball to reach, according to the white line, use a driver like the Thor Sama level 5 plus, Apocalypse level 5 plus, or something like that, that you can go with some overpower, bounce on the fairway using a decent amount of backspin to land the ball on green. The risk we take is of course the water on the left, but I'm not blaming you for taking that risk, because there is a possibility to then land the ball on the green. I haven't really decided what to do, because I remember the last time we had tailwind for the first shot, I didn't go for green, I laid up and I sank 11 out of 13 shots. However, and where 2 of those misses, or like those that I missed, were great shots for the approach. All the shots that I hit perfect, I did get into the hole. And when you do have that percentage from a specific spot, then you're going to keep to that if you're not finding yourself having a very easy time to get it to green directly or something like that. But each for their own, you decide. But there is definitely a shot for the green in tailwind, otherwise we lay up on the right. And for those of you that you want to lay up anyway, do so. Same type of playing master, only difference is that you're going to use a little bit more topspin for your drive. And in tailwind we can still reach for the green because the wind is going to be stronger. But still 10%, second shot, I'm not adding anything. Final par 3, white cliffs, tough one, a lot of elevation once again. So how do we play hole number 7?
I would say anywhere from 1 or maybe 2 to 3 topspin would be needed, landing where the black box is, and a quasar with full left spin, and basically aim right for the pin. And that's all I got on this one. It's pretty straightforward, but that doesn't make it necessarily the easiest par 3.
No, that's true. We do have the bunkers on the left and on the right. Those are definitely in play for using the black line. With a great shot left, great shot right, seen a lot of players having a problem with this one, honestly. For Pro and Expert, it's going to be kind of an in-between club situation. With a tailwind, I would prefer us going with a wood club. A sniper with a power 3 ball would be the best. And then we can play according to the black line. We use the ball guy line of the sniper, and it's going to be fairly easy to dial in. If we do have a headwind, we're going to want to go up and play with the quarterback, or we want to play with the rocket. Would you want to have backspin? That's what I'm going at. And then we're going to aim according to the white line, and then bounce ourselves towards the pin, using in that case with the backspin. When it comes to the 30, we're going to use the white line basically every single time here. It's because we're going to have a very strong wind, and the bunkers are definitely in play. I remember, and I played this hole so many times, even though we do have a shot that might work one time bouncing according to the black line, it doesn't mean it's going to work the second time, due to it's going to roll a lot on the fairway, and that fairway is acting weird. Sometimes you go long and sometimes you go short with the same type of setup. But I like the backspin approach according to the white line. We might need some curl, all wind dependent of course, but backspin, side spin to the left, and then we're at least going to be on green. I see very few hole-in-ones on this one. An extra bonus, I think all the par 3s except for, you know, the Name Cliffs ones. Name Cliffs one, then the other two, the White Cliffs one, is going to be general birdie holes. Airplay with a wind resistance 3 ball minimum. Wind resistance 5 is of course something that is going to make it easier, but something that not everyone has. RJ, hole number 4, par 4. This one is, it looks very easy, right? But it's not.
Hole number 8?
Yes.
All right. Yeah, you said hole number 4, par 4.
Oh, sorry, hole number 8, par 4.
No. It's fine.
Yards.
Right, that's what I figured threw you off, all those 4s there. Hole number 4. No. I'm not going to say the name of it. 20% on the one that you see on your screen now. Elevation, extra mile. I know I'm a broken record. I'm assuming extra mile 6 or lower. If you're higher, be very careful. You might want to back it up a little bit. 1 backspin with a quasar. I like the black line. I think the black line is really meant for you people that have an extra mile 6 or lower. Maybe the 7, you'd be able to take the white line. I'll let Tommy decide on that. But basically, yeah, you just go straight and you want to stop before the rough. Nice, simple, easy shot. Don't get so close to the rough that you risk going in. It's not that important for your second shot. Your second shot, we're just going to be a whopping 40% elevation. And what we're going to do is we're going to use about 3 backspin on that left fairway. I don't have us landing by his black box up by the green. If you move that black box over to the left a little bit and maybe a little bit down or back, that's where I would want you to land the first bounce of your second shot. And you're going to use as much curl as needed, and full right spin as well. With a lot of your clubs, it's going to be full right spin because a lot of the clubs are going to have very low curl amounts. But if you're using like a big dog or something, it's definitely possible to over curl it. So I don't know, Tommy, what do you say? Maybe about anywhere from half a ball to 1 ball of right curl, just to get you super close to the green. I'm not trying to get the eagle with this shot. There is an opportunity with a rough bump, but with the elevation of 40% and how hard it is for rookies with low-level clubs, I'm going for a birdie on this one. with the instructions that I just gave.
Yeah, and to just, I agree with you with the curl there, so I would go with the same, somewhere in between there, depending on the wind. But yes, this is a hole which is very much tougher for rookie division than it is for pro, expert, and for master. Is because we are not going, yeah, playing in rookie, you most likely have lower level clubs, as RJ already described, and then you cannot get to the right side, because in pro and expert and in master we're gonna go to the right side using a club with a lot of curl. And I understand that you might not have an Apocalypse level 5 plus in your bag, but you maybe have an Apocalypse level 1 or level 2. Or you maybe have a quarterback level 9 or 10. Something like that, that you do have a lot of curl, because you're going to have to curl a lot. We do going to have to use around 1 to 1.5 ball curl, half ball of curl outside the adjustment ring to the right, and we're going to use as much side spin to the right possible, combined with as much top spin at the same time. Side spin 3 ball is an absolute must. A Kingmaker would be the preferred ball, but understand that we might not have a big chunk of those, but we might have a Katana, which could be kind of like a semi Kingmaker type of ball. So using that one instead. 20% extra for the drive, as already explained, and we do want to bounce as close to the right side possible without, of course, endangering bouncing directly into the rough, because that shot is then going to be very tough to get to the green. When we get down there to the right, we're going to have all from 10% to 30% elevation adjustment. It could even be no elevation, depending on how far down you're getting on the fairway. If you're very close to the rough, you're not going to add anything for elevation. If you're getting, according to the white second box there, then you're going to play that shot around 30% downhill. So that's going to be a very interesting shot to try to dial in, and something that I will, of course, will get back to you with. It is important to try to get a consistent drive to get to the same type of yardage here, because this one is definitely possible to dial in from distance. I remember the approach from the right side, you either choose to go for the rough bump or you went directly at the hole. I preferred to go directly at the hole, as we were with a short iron towards the pin, and I like to go with the thorn. And the Hornet obviously is also a good club there. Definitely in my book, a hole where we can dial in. We're going to get the chance. I think I really I enjoy the White Cliffs so much. I think I'm damaged after several thousand Tour 12 games playing the White Cliffs, but I really enjoy the par 4s from White Cliffs. It's tough, but they're definitely possible to dial in, and it's going to be a huge extra to get so far, so near the end in the tournament. Hole number 9, last hole. We do have like a million lines here, like it's I was about to say a rainbow, but we don't have white and black in rainbow, so but a lot of lines. And here we are going to be interested to hear, how do we get an eagle here on hole number 9?
Okay, I have 2 different approaches I want to go over, because I think that there's a lot of people playing in rookie that are going to have maybe one club that will allow them to take the white line, and I think there's a lot of people in rookie that'll be missing that club. So I'm going to be covering the white line and the black line. First, we're going to start with the white line. To go to the left, use a driver with at least 209 power rating. It's got to have at least 4, preferably 5, but 4 or 5 will say top spin, and you want at least a 30 curl stat for this particular shot. Some of the clubs that may not have all these stats but could still go over would be like an extra mile 5 or 6. Actually, I think they might actually just barely meet those. But if you have an extra mile 5 or 6, you need to use a side spin 3 ball. I would say go with a Katana, which is obviously the lowest, or a Kingmaker. Knock down that wind a little bit and get a little bit more distance. With full left spin and a Quasar, all these other clubs you'll be okay in terms of because they have a little bit more curl. That's the main thing that I want to adjust here, is the compensating to make sure that when we jump over, we don't end up in the sand trap. Then when you land to the left of the sand trap in the middle of the fairway, right where that second box is, your second shot is going to be a backbone shot with a 10% downhill elevation on the island to go for green. Your first bounce is going to be the island. Your second bounce is going to go on the green. You're going to want to use full right spin because that's a very small island. And by putting full right spin on, it'll allow you to put your bullseye right in the middle of the island, as opposed to landing, a little bit too close to the rough and end up in the water or the rough and not get that jump over that you need. A tiny bit of topspin to have the second bounce land on or near the fringe might be needed. It's all wind dependent. If you don't have these clubs, we're still looking at a 20% elevation dip, and I would say bring your quarterback and play the right side. The quarterback has an excellent ball guide, so you should be able to use your ball guide to gauge how much topspin you're going to need. Just remember, the ball guide will lie a little bit if it's a straight tailwind, even if it's not a straight tailwind, if it's just outright tailwind. I don't want you guys rolling off the edge there or going into the rough. If you are taking the quarterback to compensate for your second shot and have an opportunity at an eagle, you're going to need the big dog. And honestly, I never really played this shot from the right, so you might want to bring a power 3 ball. Tommy, correct me if I'm wrong, just to make sure that you have the distance. And in terms of topspin, I want to say you're definitely going to need either anywhere from 0 to maximum topspin. I can't see backspin being needed with these lower level clubs. It's really going to be trial and error. If you can get your bullseye up really close, obviously stay away from the topspin. If you got a long ways to roll the ball, then you're going to need more. I've already spoke for a lot, but I feel like I covered both types of clubs for rookie. What do you got, Tommy?
I enjoy that. Thank you so much for that. And we do have basically the same type of situation there where we need to make a decision. If we take the second tee, it's a pretty easy decision. With a quarterback or with basically any other club, we're most likely going to have the possibility to get over according to the white line. That's the best line. That gives us the better chance for an albatross, or I would say almost the only chance we have for an albatross on this one. That is like going to be a consistent thing to dial in and not just dependent on a bunch of luck. We bounce over, try to get as far to the left as possible using as much side spin as we can, around 1 to 1.5 ball curl to the left. It kind of depends on where you aim on the fairway though. If you aim more to the left, you need less curl, or if you aim more to the center of the fairway, you need more curl. I like to aim more to the center of the fairway to stay away from the rough lines and stuff, and go with more curl. Bounce over on the fairway island there in the water over towards the pin, using like no spin except for the side spin where we use max side spin, but no back spin, no top spin is the general adjustment for that shot. If we do have a headwind, it is the black line. We could use the quarterback here as well. A power 3 ball in my book is a must. I would say that for those of you that are playing in rookie as well, that a power 3 ball is going to be preferred playing according to the black line, to not have you to put so much pressure in the drive that you need to get that far, because we do want to have room, go a little bit shorter and still reach for the green in 2. Because if we roll too far on the right side, then we're gonna be into the water. That's just how it is. We are so close already. For the second shot, a sniper, if you do have it in level 9+, otherwise a guardian or maybe a cataclysm or a big dog would be the better choice, because if we have headwind for the first shot, we do have headwind for the second shot as well, and then we need a little bit more distance than maybe a sniper level 6 or level 7 for an example. You can see the blue line as well, and we'll have to talk about that one a little bit. And that is based on having straight tailwind in Expert and in Master. We had that the last time we had this one in the tournament, which was way back in the day. And there we had straight tailwind. We could actually go for green. Very tough shot, which got people going to the water on the left. But we also had players going to the green or ending up in the bunker just near the green. Or something like that, and therefore have a much easier chance for an albatross, obviously. But the out of bounds was kind of a lot in play because of the max overpowered shot that we'll have to go with our drive. Blue line only with a power fireball, berserker, luchador, fusion, ghost ball, turbo ball, snow globe. Yeah, we do have a bunch of them nowadays, so those balls are the ones to be used if using the blue line, but only with straight tailing for expert and master. For pro and rookie, the wind is going to be too low, even though it's going to be a straight tailwind. 20% for the drive, and I add the 10% extra for the second shot. Interesting hole, definitely a possibility for an albatross, but it's going to be a one to earn big time. So there we have it. We do have all the 9 holes, a mix of the White Cliffs and the Namhe Cliffs in when it comes to where to practice. It's tour number 5 for White Cliffs for rookie division, and tour number 3 for Namhe Cliffs for rookie division. For pro and expert division, you can only practice the Namhe Cliffs, which is tour number 10, and for master division, it's only for the White Cliffs, which is tour number 12. I do see. Sure, it's all wind dependent if we get bunch of tailwind and stuff, but I think we're going to see people win this tournament with all from -26 to -30, depending on, of course, if we do have a bunch of tailwind or not. Less tailwind, lower score, then I think we're gonna definitely see 26, 27 as a score to win with. And now I'm talking pro, expert, and in master. What do you think, RJ, here with the scores?
I would say it's probably going to be close in rookie, unfortunately, because we do get a lot of people who I play against, you know, when I'm in Tour 9 with nothing but rookie badges. So that kind of gives people an unfair advantage. And then if you're in a lower level, you know, yeah, I agree. You know, I think the tees, moving the tees, hitting from the first box kind of makes up a little bit of the difference for having slightly less powerful, less accurate clubs.
Yeah, interesting. It's going to be, I'm going to stream basically every single day as normal when it comes to the tournament. Playthroughs will be out already during tomorrow when the tournament starts with the tournament win. So I'm going to update that. Also, updated text guides will be out on Tuesday. Those are, in my opinion, my best guides. Those are the one that going to pinpoint the direction for you in whatever division you're going to play, and those are going to help. RJ, a little bit later tomorrow than 7 p.m. I think I've learned your schedule.
Yes. I got to go see the shrink every Monday. So probably 9 o'clock p.m. we'll hop on and give it a go for the first time. And then every other day of the tournament, we're looking at right around 7 p.m. Eastern Time, USA.
Yeah. Nice. So, and if you do have any questions for us, please make sure that you write in the comment section below. Also, if you like the video, take your time, hit thumbs up as well. See you on stream already when the tournament starts at 3 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 8 a.m. UK time, or 9 a.m. Central European time. And as always, going to let RJ end it up here on the stream.
Happy stroking.
Happy stroking.